They say marriage is built on trust. But nobody tells you what to do when the trust slips away quietly. No big fight, no dramatic confession. Just a document, a number, a name that doesn't belong. My name's Carter. I'm 34. Been married to Hannah for almost 8 years. We met in college. She was this calm, grounded presence in a world that always felt a little too chaotic for me. I fell for her hard. We were best friends before anything else, and I genuinely thought that counted for something. We didn't have kids. Not yet. We were trying, or we had been. Lately though, something felt off. You ever get that gut-deep feeling that something's wrong but can't quite put your finger on it? That's where I'd been living for months. Hannah said she was stressed from work. That she needed space. That she was tired. I bought it. Because I wanted to. Because I didn't want to believe anything else. Then last Tuesday, I was looking for a copy of our tax returns. We were refinancing the mortgage, and I needed the paperwork. She usually handled the finances, said it helped her feel in control. I respected that. I shouldn't have. Her laptop was open on the kitchen table. I clicked into the wrong folder by mistake. At least, I thought it was the wrong folder, until I saw it. A PDF. A single, boring-looking file labeled PNC Quarterly Statement. We don't bank with PNC. I should have closed it. Should have respected her privacy. But I didn't. I opened it. First thing that hit me was the number, $87,421.63. Sitting in a savings account I'd never heard of. Then came the withdrawals. Regular transfers, sometimes a few hundred, sometimes a few thousand. All marked with the same memo, 4NR. I didn't know an NR. I sat there, staring at the screen like if I looked hard enough, it'd start to make sense. But it didn't. It just kept getting worse. I printed the statement. Folded it into my wallet. Didn't say anything. Not yet. I needed more than one document before I blew up my marriage. That night, Hannah came home late. Said she stayed after work to help a coworker prep for a presentation. Kissed me on the cheek. Told me I looked tired. I smiled. Said I was fine. I wasn't. I didn't sleep. I just kept picturing her typing that account number in, moving money around. Hiding it from me. And that name, NR, looping in my brain like a siren. The next day, I called in sick. Spent the whole morning digging. I knew her passwords. Hell, we used the same ones for most accounts. I found 3 more PNC statements. This had been going on for at least 3 years. Every quarter, transfers. Always 4NR. That's when I lost it. My hands started shaking. I didn't yell. Didn't punch a wall. I just sat there, feeling this creeping numbness climb through my chest. I wasn't imagining things. She'd been lying. For years. And worst of all, I still hadn't even scratched the surface. I waited 2 days. 2 days of pretending everything was normal. Of drinking coffee across the table from her, smiling like my world hadn't just flipped. Of lying awake next to her, wondering if she'd ever plan to tell me. If she even felt guilty. She didn't act like someone carrying a secret. That's what messed with me the most. If anything, she seemed lighter. More relaxed. Like a weight had been lifted. Like whatever she was hiding wasn't eating her alive, it was feeding her. Saturday morning, I broke. We were eating breakfast, eggs, toast, the usual. She was scrolling her phone, laughing softly at something, completely at ease. And I just said it. Who's NR? She blinked. Looked up slowly. Her face didn't fall. She didn't gasp. No visible panic. Just this slight raise of her eyebrows, like I'd asked what time her meeting was. NR, she repeated, tilting her head like she was genuinely confused. I pulled the folded statement from my wallet and slid it across the table. She glanced down at it, just once, and set her phone aside. Oh, she said calmly. That. My blood went cold. Yeah, that. Want to explain it? She reached for her coffee. Took a sip. Like we were talking about a parking ticket. It's nothing shady, she said. It's just something I've been doing for a while. I didn't want to stress you out. I stared at her, trying to keep my voice steady. You've been transferring thousands of dollars into a secret account, for someone I've never heard of, and your explanation is you didn't want to stress me out? She sighed, as if I was the one being unreasonable. Carter, I knew you'd react like this. That's why I didn't say anything. React like what? I snapped. Like someone whose wife has a whole other life behind his back. Her expression hardened, just for a second. Then she leaned in, voice low. NR is my nephew. Natalie's kid. Nathan. Natalie. Her older sister. I froze. Nathan? The 6-year-old. She nodded. He has some medical issues. Insurance doesn't cover everything. They were drowning. So I helped. Quietly. I sat back, stunned. Why wouldn't you tell me? I asked. Because I knew you'd want to do it your way, she said, shrugging. You'd make it this big thing. You'd talk about budgets and savings and spreadsheets. But he didn't have time for all that. He needed help. So I helped. Something didn't sit right. I'd met Nathan. Sweet kid. But I'd never heard a word about serious health issues. And why keep it going for 3 years? Why so much money? I pushed the statement back toward her. Show me receipts. Bills. Something. Her eyes narrowed. You don't believe me? I shook my head. I believe you're hiding something. And I'm done playing nice. That's when the mask slipped, just for a moment. Her mouth twitched, like she was about to say something sharp, but she caught herself. Instead, she stood up, grabbed her mug, and walked to the sink. I'll get you the paperwork, she said without turning around. But you need to calm down. Calm down. I didn't say another word. I just stood up, grabbed my keys, and left. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I needed air. Space. Time to think. Because either my wife was the most generous, secretive person on the planet, or I just caught her in the first of many lies. And something told me the truth was still hiding in that bank account. I parked outside a strip mall 10 miles from our house and just sat there in my car, trying to decide if I was insane or just finally awake. For years, I'd trusted Hannah with everything, our finances, our plans, our future. Now I was second-guessing whether she'd even told me her real middle name. I knew what I had to do. I just didn't want to do it. I stared at my phone for a solid minute before tapping her sister's name, Natalie, and hitting call. She picked up on the second ring. Hey Carter. Everything okay? Her voice was light, cheerful, normal. Yeah, everything's fine, I lied. Quick question though. Random, I know. But I was going over some stuff and Hannah mentioned Nathan's medical bills. That you were struggling. I just wanted to check if there's anything you guys need. There was a pause. Then a small laugh. Wait, what? You know, Nathan's care. She said she's been helping you guys out for a while. Quietly. Another pause. This one longer. Carter, Natalie said slowly, I have no idea what you're talking about. Now it was my turn to go quiet. Hannah said she's been helping with bills. For a few years now. Natalie's voice was firm. Carter, we've never taken a dime from Hannah. Ever. And Nathan's fine, he's had a couple allergy issues, but nothing major. I mean, we're not rich, but we've never asked for help. I felt like someone had just knocked the wind out of me. You're sure? I asked, already knowing the answer. Positive. Why? Did she say otherwise? No, I said quickly. It's probably just a misunderstanding. She didn't press. We said a rushed goodbye, and I hung up. Then I just sat there, letting the lie settle in my bones. She looked me in the eye. Told me she was helping family. Told me it was all for Nathan. And it was *T. So the question was, if the money wasn't going to her sister, where the hell was it going? I didn't sleep that night. I laid in bed beside her, eyes open, heart pounding like a damn drumline in my chest. Every breath she took, every soft sigh in her sleep, it just made me more nauseous. I kept hearing Natalie's voice over and over, we've never taken a dime from Hannah. By morning, I had a plan. I called out of work again, second time that week. But I wasn't sick. I was focused, angry, and determined to find out where the hell that money was going. I started by logging into the PNC account again. The same account Hannah thought I'd only seen once. I pulled every statement, every transaction, every transfer. And that's when a pattern started to form. Every couple of months, sometimes monthly, money was being sent to an account labeled under a name I'd never seen before, Reed Novak. At first, I assumed it was a business. Some kind of third-party bill pay. But this was different. The payments were round numbers, $2,000 here, $1,500 there. Always marked with the same 3 letters, NR. Nathan Reed? That had been the cover story, right? But this wasn't a kid's medical account. I searched the name. Reed Novak. And it didn't take long to find him. Mid-30s. Personal trainer. Used to work in our city. Now based 2 hours away. Ran a private gym. had an Instagram page full of shirtless selfies and motivational quotes. The kind of guy who says grind mode unironically. And one photo in particular was taken at a beach house in Charleston. Same beach house Hannah and I rented 2 summers ago. Except, I wasn't in that photo. She was. Off in the background. Sitting at a patio table. Laughing. Holding a glass of wine. The caption? Some company just hits different. That was the moment my hands started shaking again. This wasn't some financial favor. This wasn't generosity. This was something else. I called the gym number listed on his site. Didn't expect him to answer. But he did. Reed speaking. His voice was smooth. Confident. Yeah, hey, sorry to bother you. Do you offer private sessions? I was referred by Hannah. Silence. Then a slow exhale. Who is this? My name's Carter. I'm her husband. Another silence. Longer this time. Then, look man. I think you and I need to talk. In person. My stomach twisted. Why? Because there's a lot you clearly don't know. And I'm tired of being the bad guy in a story I didn't start. The drive to Reed's gym felt like a slow roll toward a car crash I couldn't stop. I played it out in my head, how he'd look, what he'd say, whether he'd gloat. I imagined confrontation, maybe even a fight. But mostly, I imagined finally getting answers. No more guessing. No more lies. The gym was small, tucked behind a strip of industrial buildings. No signage, just a door with a blacked-out window and a keypad lock. He must have seen me pull up, because the door cracked open as I stepped onto the curb. Reed looked exactly how I expected. Fit. Tanned. Too perfect. But when he opened the door wider, his eyes weren't smug. They looked tired. Carter. I nodded, stepping inside. The place smelled like sweat and rubber mats. Music played low through a speaker, some ambient workout mix that suddenly felt way too calm for what was about to go down. He motioned toward a small office in the back. I followed. We sat. He didn't speak for a second, just leaned back in his chair, rubbing his jaw like he was trying to buy time. Then he said, "She told me you'd never find out." That hit harder than I thought it would. How long? I asked, trying to keep my voice from cracking. Reed let out a bitter laugh. Define long. I met her 4 years ago. She said she was unhappy. That you didn't listen. That she needed someone who saw her. I clenched my fists. So what? You started sleeping together. He shook his head. No. Not at first. It wasn't like that. She hired me as a trainer. Then she said she wanted someone to talk to. Said therapy didn't help. One thing led to another. It was emotional, until it wasn't. I stared at him, stunned. And the money? She offered it, he said quickly. I never asked for a dime. She said she wanted to keep it separate. Clean. No strings. She didn't want to feel like she owed you anything. I laughed, sharp, humorless. So she gave you almost 90 grand out of generosity? Reed looked me straight in the eye. No. She gave me that money to disappear. I blinked. What? He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. She ended things with me a year ago. Said it was getting too complicated. Said she was working on her marriage. She asked me to keep my mouth shut. Said if you ever came asking questions, I was to deny everything. Said she'd keep paying me to make sure her past didn't blow up her future. I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Reed ran a hand through his hair, looked away. I was wrong to take the money. I know that. But I didn't know she lied to you. I figured you were both doing your thing. I didn't know she was pretending to be someone else at home. I stood up, numb. My hands were shaking again. You got anything to prove it? Emails? Messages? He nodded slowly. Yeah, I've got it all. I drove home with a flash drive in my pocket and a hollow pit where my heart used to be. The messages were all there, emails, texts, even voice notes. 4 years' worth. Most of it was exactly what Reed said, late-night confessions, flirtatious jokes, rants about me and our marriage. But there were a few that cut deeper. On one of the recordings, she said, he doesn't see me anymore. He sees a to-do list. A budget sheet. A schedule. I could disappear and I don't think he'd even notice. She wasn't crying when she said it. She was calm. Almost calculated. When I got home, she was sitting on the couch, feet tucked under her, sipping tea like she hadn't detonated a grenade in the middle of our life. She looked up, smiled softly. Hey. I was starting to worry. I didn't sit. I didn't speak. I just held up the flash drive. Her face didn't change. Not right away. But her eyes flicked to it, and I saw it, the recognition. The resignation. "Reed told you," she said, setting her mug down. I nodded once. "Everything." She leaned back against the couch cushion like the fight had gone out of her. "Okay. Okay." I snapped. "That's all you've got? What do you want me to say, Carter? That I'm sorry? That it was a mistake? You wouldn't believe it anyway. Try me." She stood up slowly, walked past me toward the kitchen, like she needed space to breathe. Then, over her shoulder, she said something I'll never forget. "You pushed me into it." I froze. "Excuse me?" "You made me invisible," she said, turning around now, her voice rising. "I was drowning in this marriage, Carter. In your routines. Your plans. Your spreadsheets. I felt like a roommate, not a wife." I stared at her, stunned. "So cheating on me was what, your version of therapy?" "No," she snapped. "It was my version of survival." I laughed, bitter and broken. "You had choices, Hannah. You could have talked to me. Left me. But instead, you lived two lives and paid someone to lie for you." She didn't respond. I walked over to the door, opened it wide. "You need to go." She didn't move at first. So I pointed at the door. "Now." She grabbed her keys and her purse, paused at the threshold. "Everything I said about being invisible," she whispered. "That was real." "Yeah," I said coldly. "And now you're about to find out what gone feels like." She walked out without another word. Didn't slam the door. Didn't cry. Just left. Like she'd been waiting for that moment for months. I stood in the silence she left behind, wondering how it had all unraveled so fast, and how I didn't see it coming. But the quiet didn't last long. 15 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Bank alert. Transaction attempt, $24,000 withdrawal. Flagged for review. My stomach twisted. That was our account, what was left of our joint savings. The one we'd built over the years for a down payment on a better house. For maybe starting a family. For someday. Now she was trying to empty it. I called the bank instantly. "Hi, yeah, I just got a notification. That transaction was not authorized by me." The rep was calm. Helpful. Said they'd freeze the account immediately. Said I should come in and provide documentation to formally dispute the access. When I got off the phone, I stared at the wall for a long time. She didn't even wait a full hour before going for the money. It wasn't about survival anymore. It was about damage. Control. Payback. And it wasn't just the bank. My messages were full. Natalie begging me to please talk to her, and saying she had no idea how deep things had gone. A cryptic text from Reed that just said, "Check your email. She's spiraling." And Hannah, sending message after message, alternating between fury and guilt. "You can't just shut me out. I only took what I deserved. You never would have made it without me. Please. I don't know what to do." But the one that really stuck? "If you think I'm the only one with secrets, you're wrong." I didn't reply. I didn't even open the email Reed mentioned. Not yet. I needed a minute. Maybe a day. But I already knew something. This wasn't over. She wasn't done. I opened the email. It was from Reed, just like he said. No subject line. Just one sentence. "You need to know what she's planning." Attached was a screenshot of a message Hannah had sent him. Sent just hours after she walked out of our house like it meant nothing. From Hannah. "He's unraveling. If he doesn't cooperate, I'll go public with what I found. The emails, the calendar entries, he'll lose everything." I stared at the screen, numb. What emails? What calendar entries? I scrolled down. Another attachment. This time, it was a PDF. A full printout of my Google Calendar from 2 years ago. Highlighted dates. Notes I barely remembered typing. Business meetings. Work calls. A handful of dinners. And one entry that made my stomach lurch. Drinks with Tara, 8 p.m., don't tell Hannah. Tara was a client. One I'd taken to dinner a few times. Flirtation had happened, but nothing more. No affair. No crossing the line. But out of context? It looked bad. Real bad. Apparently, she'd found that calendar months ago. Took screenshots. Sat on it. Waited. I checked my email inbox next. There they were. A few old exchanges with Tara. Nothing scandalous. but I could see how someone with an agenda could twist them into something dirty. Especially someone hellbent on rewriting the story. This wasn't about me cheating. This was about leverage, control, revenge. I sat back in my chair, heart pounding. She was going to try and flip this. Make me look like the villain. Paint herself as the victim. And suddenly, the bank transfer made sense. She wasn't just trying to take the money. She was building her defense. I thought I was playing chess. Turns out, Hannah was playing scorched earth. The day after I sent the cease and desist, I felt something shift. You ever get that weird, crawling feeling like the universe just tilted slightly? That was me, sitting at my desk, trying to work, when I got the call. Reception. Hey Carter? There's someone here to see you. Says it's urgent. I asked who. The voice on the other end hesitated. She says it's your wife. My blood went cold. I didn't even move at first. Just sat there, staring at my monitor, heart thudding like a warning. By the time I got to the lobby, she was already handing a manila envelope to the front desk. Smiling. Calm. Polished. She turned, saw me, and that smile? It stayed. Hey babe, she said. We need to talk. I motioned her toward the side hallway, anywhere out of view. What the hell are you doing here? I hissed, keeping my voice low. I tried being nice, she said, that smile curving into something sharper. But you froze the account. Sent a lawyer. Tried to erase me. You erased yourself. She shrugged. Doesn't matter. Because now we're doing things my way. She handed me the envelope. You might want to read that before your boss does. I opened it. Inside. Printouts of my calendar. Selected email threads with Tara. Screenshots of texts, edited to look worse than they were. A drafted letter, addressed to HR. All tied up with a bow. You're bluffing, I said quietly. She leaned in close. Try me. I wanted to scream. To yank the lies out of her hands. But I didn't. I just stood there, frozen in the surreal moment where the woman I married looked more like a stranger than ever before. She turned to leave, but before walking away, she dropped one last bomb. You want peace? You give me what I ask for. The house. Half the savings. No court. No public mess. Then she was gone. I stood in that hallway for a long time, gripping that envelope like it might explode. Because maybe it already had. I didn't go back to my desk. I walked out of that office and sat in my car, envelope still clutched in my hands like it was made of broken glass. Every instinct told me to fight. Lawyer up. Fire back. But something in me hesitated. Not because I was afraid of losing. Because I realized, I didn't want to win her way. She wanted a war. She wanted noise. Scorched reputations. Mutually assured destruction. But I was done giving her that power. She wasn't my wife anymore. She was a campaign, a negotiation, a storm I refused to stand in. So I made a different move. That night, I met with my lawyer. Told him we were going nuclear, but silent. I pulled every message, every screenshot, every transfer. Everything Reed gave me. Everything I dug up myself. We compiled it into a counterclaim, detailed, chronological, legally airtight. We didn't threaten. We didn't yell. We filed it. And then we sent her a copy with an offer. She walks away. No assets. No public complaints. No more surprises. Or we go to court and drag every ugly detail into the light, on record. No response for 3 days. Then one afternoon, my lawyer forwarded an email from hers. 5 words. My client accepts the terms. That was it. No apology. No explanation. Just surrender. We signed the divorce papers last month. I kept the house. She moved out of state. Reed. I haven't heard from him since. I hope he found a better way to live. And me? I'm still picking up the pieces, but they're mine now. I'm sleeping again. I'm eating again. Hell, I even laugh sometimes. Not because any of this was funny, but because I survived it. Because I didn't let her turn me into someone I'm not. People always ask what finally ended it, what pushed me over the edge. But the truth? She didn't push me. She just showed me who she really was. And once I saw it, I walked out on my own. Thanks for being here for this story. If it hit you somewhere deep, or reminded you of something in your own life, I'd love to know. Drop a comment below. Because some stories, they're only just beginning.